Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello and welcome back to this lecture series on foundations of cyber physical system. So, we had been talking about several attack detection techniques for a CPS implementation. So, let us carry on from that point. So, in the previous lecture we had covered this cryptographic method, and we were trying to show that why really you have a CAN bus overload if you are trying to encrypt packets, and followed by this message authentication code computation. So, if you just look into this process, so you have a 64-bit CAN payload, let us say, and when you are trying to send it, you see in this pipeline you first have a message authentication code which gets appended. So, that is 64 plus 256, right. So, this should give you 320. Now, what we are saying is, in the next phase of the pipeline you have this AES engine. So, typically the way the AES engine is going to work is it is trying to encrypt some data. So, it will do the encryption in blocks of 128, right. So, if you are doing this in blocks of 128, so eventually we are saying that would generate a payload of size 384. Now, let us understand why that happens. So, this is 320 and you are going to do it in blocks of 128. So, you take ceiling of that, and that should give you 3. So, of course, the last block will be a bit smaller, right, and when you do that, so you have got these 3 blocks, and each of the blocks have a size of 128, right. So, that is why it is 3 times 128. So, this is the total number of bits which are contained in these 3 packets, right. So, eventually that is why we are saying that when you start with 64 bits, you will end up with an increased load of this 384, right. So, and that is essentially, I mean when you are trying to transmit it here, this will actually result in 6 CAN frames. So, this has been taken from this reference, okay. I mean, do not think this is a power or something here. So, this calculation and example has been taken from this reference here. So, fine, this was about our discussion on this cryptographic method, and if you recall, after this we went further into our discussions on lightweight detectors. So, with respect to lightweight detectors, we had been talking about this residue based detector, and we talked about they can be stateless, they can be stateful detectors here like that, right, and different kind of norms like the Euclidean norm, any general P norm or the infinity norm can be used for computing a scalar value out of these vectors here, right. And here we had a direct calculation where we are saying that there is this example of stateless detector, for example, the chi-square detector, and for which what it does is it calculates an estimation error, right, and the system would try to figure out that some specific chi-square statistics, which is this GK, right, this chi-square statistics, if it is beyond a threshold or not. So, that has been the working principle of this chi-square threshold, right, chi-square threshold based detector. Now, what essentially we are doing here is what is this GK? So, if you see, this essentially is considering the covariance of the residue, okay. So, let us understand what is this covariance of the residue. First of all, let us understand what is C here. So, if you recall from our previous examples, so we related the residue value with this y. So, so if I consider about R k, right, it is like C times the error over k in the over the kth instance, where the estimation error is given, this E k in that instance is given by that actual value of the state minus the estimate, that is x k hat, right. So, this estimation error E k, let the covariance of this error be given like this by this value sigma E, right. So, let us say this is the covariance of this estimation error, right. So, the chi-square statistic actually that we are interested in would be this your covariance of the residue, right. So, the covariance of the residue, let us see how we can really measure it here. So, for simplicity, this is for the kth instance, right. So, that is why R k. Let us just write R for any instance in general. So, this is by definition the covariance of the residue in the kth instance. So, we will try to see that well how we can write it directly as this expression, because if you can write this expression, then it becomes simple, right, because we will just write R k is C of E k as you can see, right, because yeah, and then when you talk about this expectation here, it is, let us if you just go back, okay, first let us do this derivation and then we can go back to the previous things here. So, sigma r is covariance of R. So, if you just apply the covariance formula, now if you just bring in the expectation here, this is again expectation over two expectations. So, that it is an invariant. So, it will remain whatever it is. So, you get something like this. So, then you can just strike off any two of these. So, you get yeah. So, that is what we have here. So, once you are able to compute this sigma r here, then you can just apply this chi-square statistics formula, which uses this sigma r inverse here. So, that it is basically doing a scalar computation, where it is using the residue under attack and its transpose. So, this is the R A k, that is residue under attack in the kth instant, its transpose and the original value here, and they are being weighted by sigma r inverse. So, this is just standard chi-square statistics formula, and you are applying that here to check that whether it will be greater than the threshold or not. So, you can just use the constant threshold based detector, which just compares directly the value of the residue with respect to the threshold, a standard norm based detector, or you can use this kind of chi-square statistics based detector, which is this one. Fine. Okay. So, maybe we can progress further from here, because we also discussed the stateful detector and what are the limitations that are going to be there if we have these residue based detectors with constant thresholds, right. Because we said that, well, the attack there can be a successful stealthy attack, because somebody can stay below the attacker. If the attacker has knowledge about the systems model, the threshold value that has been set for the detector, then he can choose to inject the system with so small amount of attacks in both the measurement values and the control values in such a nice way that every time you calculate the residue, so every time you will calculate the residue here, it will remain below the threshold, but eventually the system's trajectory will get out of some safety boundary. And the thing is, you are unable to actually measure it also, because the measurements you are getting of the system, those measurements are also being perturbed by the AY component of the attack, and due to this and due to that measurement perturbation, you have an issue there, right. Due to that measurement perturbation, you are unable to kind of figure out that well, the system is really going out of the boundary. So, that can be a situation. So, we showed that here with an example, like, right, that let us take this trajectory tracking control system, and for this system we considered this an attack generation method that is being followed. So, what is happening is, on the measurements, an attack of this value is being injected in the kth instant. Okay. And there are some generator values which have been said that, well, in every kth instance this this value, this scalar value is given by k plus 1 by n, right. And then you have a weighted value of lambda. At every kth instance the magnitude of this value is increasing, and g is a constant value. Okay. So, you are ensuring that this overall attack value, which is slowly increasing with every kth instant, because lambda is increasing in exponentially and k is also increasing in a linear manner. So, over an n length of n, maybe a significantly large value, you are injecting different attack values, and the way you will like to do this kind of attack is, because if we have this kind of a generator enclosed in an algebraic expression, then it is very easy to implement in a computer that, well, these are the attack values which will go and get injected to that variable very fast continuously, right, because the attack values have to go in sync with the periods of the system, the sampling period of the system, because you want the attack values to perturb the measurements here. So, what you are doing is, the for this system you have your states, that is displacement from the reference trajectory and the speed of the velocity and the speed of the vehicle, this won't be velocity of course, and what you are I mean you are also measuring this deviation from the trajectory. So, x is essentially the deviation and the velocity, and your y is basically one of the x components itself, which is the deviation component. Okay. So, that is why when you are applying the attack, it is basically you are choosing one of the components, because you are trying to attack one quantity here. So, and based on that, this is our plot of what values of attacks we are really doing on y, and what values of attack we are really doing on u. So, you can see that this is my AK, right, and based on that I am generating a sequence of values of attack for the x variable, the y measurement variable, which is basically the first state in x, right, and also we are generating an attack on the acceleration. And accordingly, you have AU and AY. So, if I just write down the states here, so x is deviation from the trajectory, intended trajectory, and this is velocity, and the measurement y that I am taking is the deviation itself, and that is what I am perturbing, right. So, that is my perturbation here, and I am doing the attack AU on the control input, which is this attack on the control input is basically happening on the acceleration command. So, based on that, as you can see, you have this system's deviation slowly. This is the actual deviations value, not the attacked value, and that value is slowly veering out of the safety boundary. So, the next thing we talked about is, well, is it possible to have a variable threshold based detector, and we discussed about an RL based strategy. We will talk about that again in the next lecture. Thank you for your attention.